So we had a call, maybe it was last week, maybe the week before, where a viewer asked me, what do I think happened to the whole Matt Gaetz thing? The investigation, charges were expected, forthcoming, et cetera. And I said, I don't know, that these things can take a while. I said at the time, I don't know if Matt Gaetz is going to be charged. It's not looking good, but I don't know if Matt Gaetz is going to be charged. The latest news is that Matt Gaetz has hired a bevy of sex crime lawyers to defend him. And it makes sense that if you expect charges of murder, you would hire lawyers who are experts in defending you against murder charges. That sort of is logical. That makes sense, and he's entitled to get lawyers. But this is a sign of maybe the direction that things are going. Bess Levin writing for Vanity Fair that the last time we checked in on the legal comings and goings of Matt Gaetz, things were not looking great for him. Since the news broke this spring that he was under investigation for paying women for sex and separately for sleeping with a minor and transporting her across state lines, the hits have included Gaetz's former wingman pleading guilty and having charges dropped from 33 to 6 in exchange for cooperation. That didn't look great for Gaetz. The news that Gaetz had allegedly paid the women he compensated through online payment platforms, leaving a digital paper trail, not good. The news that the feds are additionally looking into obstruction of justice charges. His former wingman reportedly giving the feds years of Venmo transactions and thousands of photos and videos. And Gaetz being heckled on the street by strangers shouting, "People think you're a pedophile." Gaetz has denied allegations, but the latest news in terms of his lawyers suggests that this could be real trouble. Gaetz has hired a major team of lawyers. The team, according to reporter Roger Sullenberger, includes attorney Mark Mukasey, who has defended the Trump Organization in a number of legal battles, Isabel Kirshner, a top criminal defense lawyer who represented Robert Haddon, the ex-Columbia University gynecologist accused, listen to this, by 200 patients of sexual assault, ultimately pleaded guilty with regard to 2 patients, lost his medical license, didn't get time in prison. So it seems that Isabel Kirshner is the right person to hire. Meanwhile, Gaetz's campaign has retained the services of New York trial lawyer Mark Furnich, who has the distinction of having defended some of history's most notorious criminals, including Jeffrey Epstein, the Mexican drug lord Joaquin Guzman, aka El Chapo, and Keith Raniere, who was sentenced to 120 years in prison for running the NXIVM sex cult, where women were branded, like physically branded, and forced into sexual slavery. All of this suggests Gaetz is taking the possibility of winding up in legal trouble very, very seriously. Spokesperson for Gaetz declined a request for comment. So there's a lot going on here, all right? In the context of, are there ever going to be charges? This signals we should be keeping an eye on this because there could be charges very, very soon, and they could be very serious charges. Now, here's my view on the lawyer thing. If you ever need to defend yourself for any crime you're accused of, whether you're guilty or innocent, doesn't matter whether you're guilty or innocent. If you're accused of a crime, you should hire a lawyer that specializes in defending people against that type of crime. Any sensible person would do that given reasonable means. So Matt Gaetz can hire whoever he wants. This is a signal of what may be coming, and that's it. If I were being criminally tried, I would want a criminal lawyer. If the criminal charges were murder, I would want someone experienced in defending murder. There's no question about it. The fact that he's hiring these people signals that there are some really serious charges potentially coming related to sex crimes. Doesn't mean he's guilty. He gets his day in court. Every time we talk about possible charges, people write to me and they say, David, do you not support due process? Do you not support innocent until proven guilty? First of all, sort of like, do I support gravity? It's like, we have due process and people are innocent until proven guilty. He gets his day in court. Everybody's entitled to that. But this signals that the charges may well be coming. However, he really shouldn't be allowed to use campaign funds for these lawyers because these are personal charges. Now, there are people making the argument that part of this is retaining counsel for his campaign so that if there are charges, the campaign for re-election can continue unfed. It feels pretty weak to me. The charges are for personal actions, and he should not be allowed to use campaign funds for his defense. I feel very strongly about that. There's already been reportedly $25,000 for a lawyer been paid by the Gaetz campaign, even though the charges stem from Gaetz' alleged personal actions. That's not good. That shouldn't be allowed. But let's buckle up, because this really could get very interesting very, very quickly.